Still trying to decide what pressure she prefers. Definitely doesn't like light and tickly. Has to be perfect.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So, I'm just going to show you on this side. So, just doing a nice circular motion. I'm going to show this a bit more. So, it's just a little bit lighter. So, you can see here that even though I've done this loads of times, you still have to adapt your approach to each horse and each environment. You know, there's lots of things happening here. I've got half my attention on what I'm meant to be remembering to say and half the attention on the horse. But I think we found a happy medium there. Okay, so you can do both your stroking and your kneading on that triangle of muscles here without much to worry about. You can go down with the coat or up and across. But I'd probably advise against going against the coat, because most horses just don't like that. Where's my next bit then?
Trapezius and rhomboid.
Trapezius and rhomboid, jolly good, thank you. Okay, so I've given them their proper anatomical names because the names that they've been given describes exactly what shape they are. So if you can look at your picture at the back, you'll see it's the really lovely big muscle that comes right here in a big triangle shape and all the way up there. Can you see that? Yeah? Nice big triangle. So you've got the shoulder blade here. You've got a big triangle of muscle here, which is your trapezius muscle. You don't have to know the name, just be aware of the fact that it's there. And you've got your rhomboid muscle, which is a rhomboid shape, and actually is a bit thinner along the top. Okay, so you know quite often you have a really hard bit along here. That's your rhomboid muscle. But it doesn't matter. Essentially, you can do both of your strokes. So you can do your stroking along the length of it. And quite often horses really like it when you do a little bit of that kneading along the crest. Have any of you ever tried that? You know, you get them doing all those cute little nibbly faces and all sorts. So just I think we found a common ground here. She's a little bit sorry. Okay, so that's that part there. Again, nothing to worry about pressure wise. You know, you can go as hard as you and your horse will tolerate. I would avoid the whole of the shoulder blade area here, because you're just more than likely just going to press on bone. So those of you that didn't see the bit up here, I was just doing a little bit of circling like that, and that's really nice just for that rhomboid area. As I told you just now, you've got your trapezius muscle here, but it also extends all the way to the back. It's a really complex muscle. It's got a lot of different functions, and it often gets tight. You know, if you've got poor saddle fit, you know, if your horse is being asked to do a little bit more than perhaps it can cope with, and it can just get really tight just here, you know, where the front of the saddle is. So again, you can just do a nice little bit of stroking, same technique, nice loose fingers, or you can do it up and across. This is a little bit deeper, because when you go across a muscle fibre, you can get a little bit deeper. And then you can actually also do your kneading if you want to, but it's just a little bit trickier because it's a bit of a small area. But there's nothing against having you go there, as long as you're not pressing along the actual spine. This bit here is fine. Okay? Where am I meant to go next? Triceps, right. Really big muscle group here. Very, very, very important. Very, very important in helping the horse stand and move. It's, again, it can quite often be different sizes depending on whether the horse is tight or weak on one shoulder versus the other. And because of its size, you could theoretically do any of the massage techniques, but because of its location, I'd probably say stroking is the only one that's really comfortable to do. So if you can see, I'm just leaning against this muscle. I'll just kind of go slightly side on and just stroking downwards with the fur. Okay? As you can probably see, kneading would require a bit of knee action there, which isn't really comfortable when you're having to do it for even 30 seconds, let alone a few minutes. Was it lats next? Latissimus? Yeah. Has anyone ever heard of your lats? You know, quite often they get tight in people. Same thing in horses. So the lat's actually attached to the shoulder, but a lot of the muscle bulk is in this triangle here. Again, you'll probably see this built up in some horses. Makes saddle fit very difficult because the saddle tends to be a little bit too pinchy for them, and then it exacerbates the problem, makes the muscle even more spasming, and it just goes in a bit of a nasty catch-22. So this muscle, the actual bulk is here, but it attaches all the way back here to the back of the back. And again, as most of you may be aware, this is often an area where people go, ooh, it's tight, ooh, you know, like you're sucking in your teeth. It's always here. I could not touch a horse and guarantee that there'd be something there if they're ridden, you know. So having some tension in this muscle here can understandably affect the tension here. Would that make sense? Yeah? So, stroking, same technique as what I've shown you in all the other ones, along the line of the fur. You can go up and across if you like. Try to make things as comfortable for you as possible. Always try and check the horse's reaction if you can. I've been a bit naughty about that today because I've got lots of people watching for me. So, and then you can do a little bit of the kneading if you like. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult just because of the positioning of your arm. So I'd probably say your stroking is probably the easiest one to do here, because you can actually get a good bit of pressure just doing this and just leaning against the horse. And provided they don't move away, it can be quite effective. Now, talking of moving away, you'll often find, you probably find some scratchy spots, that when you find the right one, they really lean into it, don't they? Well, the same thing applies for areas of muscle tension where they're feeling a bit sore. You know, so I'm feeling that she's leaning into me a little bit here. You know, and if I was to let go, you can see the whole body space. So I think I've got a place that she likes. And, you know, they tell you what they want. You know, if they move around slightly, as long as they're not looking like they're going to be dangerous, let them. Maybe they're trying to tell you something. Maybe they're trying to tell you that it's just a little bit over to the right, or a little bit more to the left, or just a bit round. Okay? Look for their reactions. You know, you know when you've got a good itchy spot. The same thing will happen when you've got a really tense spot. You know, their eyes will droop. They might start licking and chewing. They'll look relaxed. They'll chill out. They'll put their head down. Right, so moving on to the back. This can be the hardest and the easiest area all at once. And the easiest potentially because it's the area that you guys may most often feel, so you'll know maybe when it's more tight. Hard because it can be quite sore because obviously the saddle is on it. Because of its close proximity to both the spine and all of your ribs, and the muscle not being massive underneath, I'd probably only suggest doing stroking along here, just to make sure that you don't actually hurt the horse or yourself. So you can go along the line of the muscle, which can be quite difficult if they're big. So provided they're happy with that, I then tend to go up and across if I can, because it's just a bit easier on your body. Okay? But just be aware that going up and across is a little bit deeper, and because you can get more of your body weight behind it, you know, you might just press on something a little bit harder than you intended. I don't know if I mentioned the back check earlier, but it would be nice if you guys could actually start checking the horses' backs a little bit. Not because I particularly want you to call me out every time you think there's a small area of spasm, but because I think if you are able to feel when a horse is tense and it's new and it's different, maybe, again, it's telling you something. Maybe you need to change the saddle, or maybe you shouldn't jump quite so long, and maybe that was just a little bit too hard for them. And, you know, all you have to do is maybe put a hot pack on, give it a little bit of a massage, give them a bit of a move and a gentle exercise, and it will go away. And you don't need to call anyone out. But at least if you're managing it on this kind of basic level, you can save yourselves a lot of money, and it can improve your performance of the horse. So just get used to running your fingers down the back. Again, just making sure you're not in the middle, so, you know, the really nice big muscly area. Running your fingers down the back and just feeling if anything feels different. And even if you can't feel anything initially, it doesn't matter. There might not be anything. But when something does change, you'll notice, hopefully, because your fingers would have become sensitive to it. If you're really not sure, then try on yourself first. So I'd put money on the fact that if I pressed most of you here, you'd all jump and you'd hate it. So have a feel. Does that bit that you hurt feel the same as a bit that doesn't hurt? And you'll often find that the bits that hurt on you are hard and tense, and the bits that don't hurt are soft and squishy, and the same thing happens with a horse. So have a feel on yourself first, then have a feel on the horse, and you'll gradually get a bit of a feel for it, and then you'll know when it's time to maybe get a professional out, and you'll know when it's just a case of the simple stuff. So I think the last two muscles I've mentioned on there are your gluteals, which is this massive muscle bulk here at the top, okay, and then your hamstrings, which you've got one set coming down the back, and then you've got another set coming down here into the stifle. So these are really big muscle groups, so you can actually go to town on them if you want to, but I wouldn't advise it because a lot of horses are actually tense around their glutes. So your dressage horses, simply because you're asking for very gymnastic, powerlifting type movements. Your show jumpers and eventers because you're asking them to jump a lot. Oh yeah, and that's about it really. But it's quite often a really tense area here, and you might get a bit of a nasty cow kick or something. So just be careful. Have a look at the horse's reaction. She's already not happy with me being here, so I'm not going to go and press terribly hard. So I'm probably, because I feel happy with my handler and here, I can use two hands, but if you're not happy, use one hand and just stroke firmly down using your body weight. If it's too high for you, if it's too hard, again, use your body weight and stroke up and towards the bottom, okay? You can do some of that kneading again, just doing some small circling motions. And just try and get your body behind it. If you're feeling happy, you can move a little bit further towards the back so you can get a little bit of your body weight against it. But just at all times, just try and keep a controlling hand on the horse and just be a bit aware of your body positioning and your safety. I'm not actually going to get you to practice this particular area today unless you're particularly confident or competent or it's your own horse, just because I don't want anyone to get kicked. And when you're practicing these kind of things, it's often easier just to stick to the easy end. Okay? But just so that you know what to do, has anyone got a flirty mare? Yeah? So they quite often like this kind of, pulling it round. So, yeah? Oh, hello. Not sure about this. Okay? So again, this is a nice stroke because you can still stay to the side. You can stroke downwards if you like. I quite often find that just pulling across to you is just a little bit nicer. It's easier on your body because you can just rock your knees side to side. Okay? And the horses quite often like it. Most important part about that one is have floppy fingers. Okay? So you don't want to be doing this. At all times keep soft fingers, loose fingers, and try and use the palm of your hand as much as you can. Okay, so I think I've talked quite enough. Are there any questions? Have I missed anything on my sheet?
No, excuse me.
Yeah.
How often would you say it would be good to massage your horse? Is it once a week or?
Well, to be honest, if you wanted to do it every day, you could. You're not going to do any harm, but I don't know, I haven't met a person yet that fancies doing it every day. I advise most of my owners to do it once a week if we're doing something specific, but if you can only do it once a month or once in a while, it really doesn't matter. You're doing something that you wouldn't do normally. It's only in the benefit of your horse. I'd also say don't beat yourselves up. If you can only do it once a week for 1 week and you can't do it for another month, that's fine. And then suddenly you do it every week. In times of competition, when you're doing a lot of work, you might want to do it a little bit more often so that you're affecting that circulation side of things. You could do it for 1 minute on each muscle or 30 seconds. You could do it for 10 minutes on each muscle. Your horse will tell you which ones are the worst ones, and you'll hopefully get a little bit of a feel for it after a while if you do it regularly enough. Okay? Any other questions about frequency and